No other woman and no child will ever be hurt by this man again. My dogs.
Guilty. Guilty. Guilty.
I agree with the family. I hope you die in prison as well.
Free speech or die, Portland. You got no safe place, liar. You're not the only black person on max.
Throughout history, the world has borne witness to a multitude of horrifying and senseless acts. What is truly unsettling is the utter absence of remorse displayed by certain infamous criminals when confronted with the gruesome details of their crimes during their trials. Among them, some shamelessly taunted the court, even going so far as to laugh in the faces of their victims. Others adopted a chillingly cold and calculated demeanor, devoid of any sentiment or guilt. Through their actions, these individuals demonstrated a brazen disregard for human life, while their trials were marked by a striking lack of empathy. Presented here are the cases of 10 most notorious convicts who exhibited no remorse during their court proceedings. Number 10, Thomas Michael. Meet Thomas Michael, a convicted felon who gained global attention in 2012 for committing a shocking act of violence at Chardon High School in Ohio. Hailing from a small Ohio town, Lane's upbringing was marked by a troubled life marred by substance abuse and mental illness. Growing up with a father behind bars for multiple offenses left Lane feeling isolated and filled with anger. Despite these adversities, Lane managed to attend high school, where he was considered an outsider, a loner. On February 27, 2012, Lane walked into the cafeteria of Chardon High School and unleashed a barrage of gunfire, tragically ending the lives of 3 students and injuring 3 others. The impact of this senseless act reverberated throughout the town and the nation, sparking a national conversation about the scourge of school violence. Following the incident, Lane was reportedly ejected from the building by a teacher and swiftly apprehended outside the school premises. He faced a litany of charges, including 3 counts of aggravated murder, 2 counts of attempted murder, and 1 count of assault. Initially treated as a minor, Lane demonstrated minimal remorse during his trial, often sporting a smirk and making vulgar gestures in the courtroom. He even appeared before the judge wearing a t-shirt emblazoned with an inappropriate word, crossing all boundaries of decency. Despite claims by his defense team that Lane was mentally ill at the time, his actions spoke volumes. He brazenly cursed the victims' families and the judge during the proceedings, revealing a complete lack of empathy. Prosecutor David Joyce wasted no time in announcing that Lane would be tried as an adult, levying 3 charges against him. Lane admitted to firing 10 rounds during the incident, but callously stated that he had no prior connection to the victims, choosing them at random. However, a witness who was acquainted with the disturbed teenager revealed that Lane was acquainted with several of the victims. Without any regard for the consequences, Lane pleaded guilty to all charges, further illustrating his indifference. Adding to his notoriety, Lane managed to escape from the Allen Oakwood Correctional Center in Lima, Ohio, along with 2 other felons in September of 2014. Fortunately, their escape was short-lived, as they were promptly apprehended by authorities. Meanwhile, the survivors of the Chardon High School tragedy continued their tireless advocacy for stricter gun control measures and harsher sentences for individuals like Thomas Michael. Their unwavering efforts aimed at preventing future incidents and seeking justice for their fallen classmates. Number 9, Randall Moore. Introducing Randall Moore, also known as Randy, a notorious criminal whose name became synonymous with a heinous crime, assault and taking the life of his estranged wife. In November 2009, just a month after she filed a protection order against him, Moore took the life of his kidnapped wife. The chilling incident took an even darker turn when Moore shot Des Moines police officer Todd Rowland, who had responded to distress calls from the couple's former residence. Charged with first degree, Moore displayed a complete absence of remorse throughout his trial, claiming that he acted in self-defense. However, testimonies presented in court painted a different picture. It was revealed that the victim was unarmed and had been shot multiple times at close range, casting doubt on Moore's self-defense argument. His lack of remorse and attempt to justify his actions, combined with the compelling evidence presented, pointed towards a cold-blooded crime. Sheila Lynch, the mother of the victim, had been eagerly awaiting justice for over a year since her daughter, Teresa Ann, was tragically taken away from her. In a powerful victim impact statement, Lynch expressed her pain and denounced Moore's actions as horrible, terrible, and despicable. Moore callously responded, urging people to read the journals of his late wife, claiming she despised him. Such statements only fueled the shock and disbelief of those present in the courtroom. Before being sentenced, Moore was given the opportunity to make a statement. For more than 10 minutes, he tried to rationalize the murder of Teresa Ann, showing absolutely no remorse. His words sent gasps rippling through the courtroom as he expressed a disturbing hope for more instances where spouses are denied access to their children. The judge sternly warned Moore about violating judicial decorum, emphasizing the gravity of his crimes. Ultimately, the judge handed down the verdict, delivering 3 life sentences for the crimes committed against Teresa and Lynch. Moore was also sentenced to 25 years in prison for the assault on Officer Rowland. As the judge pronounced the sentence, he called Moore evil and expressed his disbelief at the depths of his actions. Outside the courthouse, the judge, identified as Nova, reiterated his sentiment while Sheila Lynch, tearful yet relieved, expressed her gratitude that justice had finally been served. The day marked a significant step forward for her family, as they could now begin to heal and move forward. Number 8, Michael Elijah Adams. And there is Michael Elijah Adams, a Native American hailing from Michigan. Sporting train track tattoos, Adams had a troubled upbringing in an abusive home. Seeking an escape, he left home at the young age of 14 and embarked on a journey riding trains. It is during this time that he claims to have crossed paths with one of the founding members of the Freight Train Writers Association, a now mostly extinct gang of hardcore drifters. This individual allegedly took Adams under his wing, guiding him through the ranks until he became an enforcer for the gang. Adams would assault and, in some cases, even take the lives of those who dared to interfere with the group's activities, whether it be narcotics transactions or violating their code. On May 2011, Adams's reckless lifestyle caught up with him. He was arrested in Oregon during a scuffle between drifters. It was then that officers discovered an open warrant for his arrest in California, linking him to the death of wanderer John Smelier Owens. Owens's body had been found in January 2000 on a gravel service road near a rail yard in Roseville, California. Known as Crazy Mike, Michael Elijah Adams expressed a disturbing sense of pride for his actions, seemingly unfazed by the prospect of facing life in prison. He quipped about looking forward to 3 square meals and a roof over his head as he was being transferred to a jail in Virginia. Adams initially pleaded not guilty to second-degree murder charges 6 months after his arrest. However, he showed no remorse during interviews, boasting about being part of the violent faction, the Alpha Dogs, who operated near the border. Guns, drugs, and women were their currency of power. In court, Adams displayed a complete disregard for the wasted 30 years he spent on his destructive path. Eventually, his life on the rails came crashing down as investigators closed in on him. When asked if he regretted his actions, he retorted that things started getting hot, bodies piled up, and questions began to arise. Even during an attempted prison escape, Adams showed no signs of remorse. Fortunately, authorities managed to apprehend him and transfer him to a maximum security prison. While Adams is eligible for parole in California after 15 years, Virginia prosecutors aim to keep him indefinitely within their state. They seek to ensure he serves his entire life sentence. The approval of the California governor is now being sought for this arrangement. Astonishingly, Adams has revealed his plans to collaborate on a book with an author and has piqued the interest of a major magazine for a potential feature article about his life. Number 7, Tommy Lynn Sells. Tommy Lynn Sells was a notorious American serial killer whose crimes unnerved the nation as the coast-to-coast killer. Born into a dysfunctional family, Sells claimed to have suffered physical abuse during his early years, prompting him to escape from home. By the age of 16, he had already fallen into a destructive pattern, regularly consuming alcohol obtained from his maternal grandfather. It was during this time that he formed a troubling association with Willis Clark, an adult who began assaulting Sells. This traumatic connection left a lasting impact on Sells, fueling his descent into a life of crime. While still a teenager, Sells embarked on a spree of violence that claimed his first victim at the age of 18. Throughout his adult life, he continued to take innocent lives, earning a reputation as a remorseless drifter who traversed the country solely for the purpose of committing crimes. His actions were impulsive and unpredictable, targeting individuals of various ages, races, and genders. Cell's crime spree eventually came to an end in 1999 when he was arrested in Del Rio, Texas, for the murder of Kayleen Harris. Breaking into the Harris family home, he mercilessly struck Kayleen in her own bed. Another victim, Kristen Huddle, survived the assault and was able to identify Sells as the perpetrator positively. Upon his arrest, Sells shockingly confessed to many more crimes, claiming to have taken up to 70 lives. The exact number of his victims remains unknown to this day. In 2000, Sells was convicted and sentenced to death for his crimes in Texas. While he faced charges for other offenses committed in multiple states, including Arizona, California, Florida, Illinois, Kentucky, Missouri, Nevada, New York, Oklahoma, and South Carolina, he was never tried or convicted for these crimes. Nevertheless, Sells' story stands as a chilling reminder of the horrors inflicted by serial criminals. Their acts were utterly heinous and senseless, leaving a trail of destruction in their wake. Number 6. Jeremy Christian. Jeremy Christian, the man who shocked Portland, Oregon in May 2017 with a brutal act of violence. It all began when Christian boarded a Max light rail train and directed racist and anti-Muslim slurs at 2 black teenagers. As tensions escalated, fellow passengers intervened, urging Christian to stop. However, instead of heeding their pleas, Christian brandished a knife, threatening and ultimately stabbing 3 individuals. Tragically, the attack claimed the lives of 53-year-old Ricky John Best, a retired Army officer, and 23-year-old Taliesin Namkai Mechi. Micah Fletcher, a 21-year-old, miraculously survived the assault. The shocking incident lasted a mere 12 seconds before Christian fled the scene. Concerned passengers pursued him while contacting emergency services. Police swiftly arrived and apprehended him, and in a chilling display, Christian proudly boasted about his gruesome actions. Facing the consequences of his heinous acts, Christian stood trial on charges of 2 counts of murder and 1 count of attempted murder. Throughout the proceedings, his lack of remorse became painfully evident. Shockingly, he even threatened to harm a family member of one of the victims in open court. The impact of his actions on the victims' families was profound, as they bravely shared their statements during the trial. Ultimately, Christian received a sentence of 2 consecutive life terms, ensuring he would never again walk among society. Additionally, evidence emerged of Christian's troubled past, revealing previous instances where he had assaulted a woman and spewed racial slurs on another train. Describing himself as a white nationalist and far-right extremist, Christian's actions and beliefs served as a chilling reminder of the dangers posed by hate-fueled ideologies. In light of his horrific crimes and the threat he posed to society, the judge decided to extend his punishment by an additional 25 years. The impact of Jeremy Christian's actions continues to reverberate, emphasizing the need to combat hatred and promote understanding in our communities. It's time for today's subscribers pick. Hold on to your seats, folks, because we've stumbled upon a bone-chilling courtroom drama that'll leave you questioning humanity. Feast your eyes on this gripping image, showcasing a heartless convict who showed zero remorse during trial, similar to all of the convicts we have presented today. A twisted criminal, decked out as a clown, possibly responsible for a child's worst nightmare. And to add insult to injury, this remorseless monster shamelessly displayed a poster in court that read, "Do you miss mommy?" While the devastated child on the other end couldn't hold back the tears. Is there room for forgiveness or rehabilitation for these remorseless individuals? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Number 5. Joseph Paul Franklin. Joseph Paul Franklin was an infamous American serial criminal whose name struck fear in the late 1970s and early 1980s. Born on April 13, 1950 in Mobile, Alabama, Franklin's upbringing was marred by a difficult environment steeped in bigotry and violence, shaping his troubled path. Driven by his extremist white supremacist beliefs, Franklin embarked on a chilling crime spree that shocked the nation. In 1977, he committed his first known act of violence, mercilessly shooting and killing 2 young African-American men in Cincinnati, Ohio. His subsequent targets were interracial couples and individuals he believed to be Jewish, fueled by his unfounded paranoia of Jewish people supposedly plotting a government takeover. Franklin viewed Jewish civilians as Zionist agents, cementing his twisted ideology. One of Franklin's most notorious acts occurred in 1980 at a synagogue in Skokie, Illinois, during a bar mitzvah celebration. Opening fire, he claimed the life of an innocent person and left several others wounded. He also admitted to shooting and paralyzing the assistant of an adult filmmaker, attempting to assassinate the filmmaker himself. This abhorrent act was triggered by his disgust upon seeing an interracial couple portrayed in a magazine. In 1980, Franklin's reign of terror came to an end when he was apprehended during a routine traffic stop. The discovery of handguns and other dangerous weapons in his possession eventually led to the unraveling of his extensive criminal history. He confessed to over 20 homicides and was charged with up to 16 additional crimes, including the attempted murder of civil rights activist Vernon Jordan. During his 1997 trial in Missouri for the murder of Gerald Gordon, Franklin attempted to escape, only to be captured and found guilty as charged. Psychiatric expert Dorothy Lewis testified that she believed Franklin suffered from paranoid schizophrenia, deeming him unfit to stand trial. Despite his twisted mind, Franklin granted numerous interviews to media outlets, revealing his delusional conviction that his actions were a divine mission to ignite a race war. In light of the complexity of his crimes and his apparent lack of remorse, Missouri authorities announced that they would employ a new form of lethal injection for Franklin's execution. The state sought to bring justice to the victims and their families, recognizing the gravity of Franklin's heinous acts and the need to protect society from his malignant influence. Number 4. Gary Leon Ridgeway. Gary Leon Ridgeway, infamous as the Green River Murderer, was a chilling serial criminal hailing from the United States. With 49 lives to his name, Ridgeway stands among the most notorious and sought-after serial killers in American history. Growing up, Ridgeway's family life was plagued by turmoil. His mother's controlling nature and violent clashes between his parents left lasting impressions. Gary, a dyslexic student, fell behind a year in high school. At the age of 16, he stabbed a young man who miraculously survived the encounter. Eventually, he graduated from high school and married his high school sweetheart, Claudia Craig, at the tender age of 19. Joining the U.S. Navy, Ridgeway was deployed to Vietnam, where he served on a supply ship and witnessed the horrors of war. Sadly, he contracted gonorrhea during his time there, which further fueled his deep-rooted anger. This anger played a role in the dissolution of his marriage and led to multiple divorces and numerous girlfriends. Suspicion eventually fell upon Ridgeway, leading to his arrest. The ensuing investigation uncovered a long list of crimes. Ridgeway faced charges for several murders, resulting in his transfer from the King County Jail to a maximum security cell in Airway Heights. On November 5, 2003, he shocked the court by pleading guilty to 48 counts. In his accompanying statement, Ridgeway admitted to committing the crimes, meticulously transporting and disposing of the victims' bodies across Washington state. Remarkably, he displayed no remorse, boldly declaring that this was his chosen career. His chilling confession revealed a staggering count of 49 women whose lives he had brutally taken between 1982 and 1998. Sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole in 2003, Ridgeway narrowly avoided the death penalty by offering information about his crimes and aiding detectives in locating the victims' remains. His sentence ensures that he will spend the remainder of his life behind bars, serving as a chilling reminder of the heinous acts he perpetrated and the indescribable pain inflicted upon the families of his victims. As Ridgeway calmly counted the names of his 49 victims in court, his lack of remorse was palpable. The judge concluded that Gary Ridgeway was undeserving of forgiveness and unworthy of life, affirming his sanity and the absence of any mental disorders during the time of his crimes. Number 3. Keith Allen Ferguson. Keith Ferguson, a resident of Kalkaska County, Michigan, who was once a family man with 4 children. However, he found himself convicted of the tragic murder of his wife, Tiffany. The court documents revealed that Tiffany had filed for divorce in September, but the legal process had not yet been finalized at the time of the incident. Troubling events had unfolded between the couple, possibly contributing to the impending divorce. On November 18th, tragedy struck their home in Cold Springs Township when Keith Ferguson allegedly took his wife's life using a firearm. Disturbingly, he then fled with their 4 children, aged 3, 9, 11, and 13, seeking refuge at her grandparents' residence in Excelsior Township. In a terrifying turn of events, he took his own grandfather's life in the process. The children, in a desperate attempt to escape the chaos, sought help from a neighbor. To their astonishment, that neighbor happened to be a Calcutta deputy sheriff, who promptly contacted 911. Simultaneously, Keith Ferguson also called emergency services from his home in Orange Township, where he claimed to have hostages and threatened to harm any authorities who responded. After a tense 7-hour standoff at a residence on Gold Road in Orange Township, Keith Ferguson was eventually apprehended without any harm befalling the hostage he held at his home. However, his demeanor displayed little or no remorse for his actions. The 40-year-old resident of Kalkaska faced prosecution in the Kalkaska District Court for his crimes. During the sentencing hearing, the presiding judge expressed deep concern over Keith Ferguson's character, noting that something fundamentally wrong seemed to reside within him. Throughout the proceedings, he continually cursed the judges and everyone present in the courtroom. A friend of the victim courageously shared how she had warned Tiffany about Keith's behavior, to which he brazenly responded, "Sentence me, whatever." When questioned about his future relationship with his children, he displayed no interest in meeting them again. Keith Ferguson was charged with first-degree murder and ultimately sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of release. Additionally, he was prohibited from any contact with his 4 children. However, an official disclosed that due to the children's older age, they would be permitted to write letters to their father. The victim's family and the prosecution openly expressed their satisfaction with the outcome, knowing that justice had been served. Number 2. Kamia Gamut. Kamia Gamut, a 31-year-old woman, stood before the court accused of murdering her boyfriend, Marcel Hill, who was 38 years old. Their shared life in Michigan took a dark turn on May 2018 when Gamut unleashed a violent attack on Hill, wreaking havoc throughout their apartment. Reports reveal that she unleashed her anger upon him, utilizing various household items as weapons. When the police responded to the neighbors' distress calls, they discovered Hill lifeless, while Gamut herself was drenched in blood. A gruesome scene awaited them, with a bloody frying pan, a knife stained with blood, and a shattered floor lamp as evidence. The prosecution stated that Gamut had struck her boyfriend multiple times with the knife. But that wasn't the end of Gamut's shocking story. During the trial, Gamut attempted to justify her actions, claiming that she believed her boyfriend was either an aggressor or an intruder, prompting her to defend herself by stabbing him. However, her defense crumbled under scrutiny. If her account were true, she would have recognized her boyfriend's presence or his voice. The evidence presented in court revealed that Gamut had brutally taken Hill's life. Still, she stubbornly insisted it was an act of self-defense, alleging that she was a victim of his deception. Unfortunately for Gamut, her story failed to impress Judge John McBain. The court summoned Diana Banks, Hill's family member, to deliver a victim impact statement. The presence of Hill's own mother on the stand sent chills down the spectators' spines. As Hill's aunt began to read the statement, Gamut displayed a complete lack of remorse. She rolled her eyes and even smirked, visibly unaffected by the emotional turmoil unfolding before her. Judge McBain, fed up with Gamut's behavior, sternly warned her to keep quiet and threatened to silence her if necessary. Nevertheless, Gamut persisted, causing disruption throughout the courtroom. Court officials scrambled to find duct tape, enabling Aunt Diana to conclude her statement, but Gamut's disrespectful conduct had already deeply angered the prosecutor. Before delivering the sentence, Judge McBain voiced his candid thoughts on Gamut and the heinous crime she committed. Considering her history of domestic abuse, the court sentenced Gamut to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. Number 1. Ronnie ONeill. In the annals of American crime, one name stands out: casting a dark shadow over the city that will never fade away, Ronnie ONeill. This notorious individual captured the nation's attention when he was arrested in 2018 for the unfathomable murder of his girlfriend and their innocent 9-year-old child. The shocking details of this heinous act left the entire community bewildered, grappling with the unforgiving question: what drives a person to commit such unspeakable atrocities? Born and raised in the sun-soaked state of Florida, ONeill's journey through life was marred by a turbulent upbringing and a series of unfortunate circumstances. Battling personal demons and struggling with substance abuse, he encountered the cold embrace of the law on multiple occasions. However, despite the obstacles that life had thrown his way, ONeill managed to hold down a job and provide for his family. Yet, as fate would have it, something inside him snapped in 2018, sending him spiraling into unpredictability and erratic behavior. The night that forever stained the pages of history began with a chilling act of violence. ONeill, armed with a knife and a gun, launched a brutal assault on his girlfriend, shattering the fragile fabric of their relationship. The grim ordeal did not end there. ONeill callously set their residence ablaze, engulfing their lives in a merciless inferno. Subsequently, he was apprehended and charged with 2 counts of first degree. In a bizarre twist, ONeill opted to represent himself during the trial, unveiling a chilling tale of an Illuminati police conspiracy as his defense. Throughout the trial, ONeill exhibited a chilling lack of remorse for his abhorrent actions. Astonishingly, he declared that his girlfriend and their innocent child were sacrificed for the supposed greater good. When questioned in court, he asked his surviving son if he had struck his mother, and upon receiving a reluctant confirmation, ONeill erupted into a vehement outcry, alleging that a fabricated recording was being used against him. Despite his desperate attempts to justify his deeds, justice prevailed, and ONeill was found guilty. The presiding judge, shaken by the abhorrence of the case, labeled it as the most heinous act she had ever witnessed, having presided over numerous atrocities throughout her career. ONeill's absence of remorse only fueled the fire of the judge's condemnation. The gavel came crashing down, and ONeill's fate was sealed. A sentence of 3 life terms plus 90 years without the possibility of parole. However, amidst the darkness, a glimmer of hope emerged for the surviving child. The detective who had valiantly saved him from ONeill's vicious attack adopted him, providing a path towards a secure and prosperous future. In the aftermath of the trial, questions arose regarding ONeill's mental competency. Critics argued that his behavior in court demonstrated an individual who was clearly not of sound mind. The efficiency of the legal system itself was called into question as it grappled with the complexities of dealing with mentally ill and violent offenders like ONeill. Despite the ongoing debates and inquiries, one aspect remains undeniably clear. ONeill's unyielding lack of remorse has left an indelible mark on the collective society. And there you have it, a glimpse into the chilling world of some of the most notorious convicts with no remorse during their court proceedings. These individuals not only shocked the world with their unforgivable acts, but also displayed callous behaviors in the face of justice. Their lack of empathy and brazen disregard for human life serve as haunting reminders of the darkness that can reside within some individuals. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon in the next one.